Remember how we forgot? Remember how no one really died in the wars we fought? Because each gunshot came from our fingertips. And we never really kept them loaded just in case. Because each enemy was a friend. And none of it was about oil, religion, or land. It was all just pretend. Remember how we used to bend reality? Like we were sort of strongmen. Like our imaginations were in shape then. Like we were all ninjas, trained in the deadly art of did not. Like, I totally got you. Did not. Remember how we forgot? In our adolescence, we were faced with several difficulties, whether they involve school, friends, family, or relationships. These experiences have a real impact on us. They shape us into who we are. However, this process causes us to occasionally lose sight of what is important, and we forget about how carefree our childhood was. Poets Shane Kazoskin and Robert Kibio examine the loss of innocence and journey into the young adulthood in a poetry program entitled Innocence. How easy she was to please with the stories I told at the slats of her cage, when we stuffed our pockets with berries and walked like ducks to fatten father's cheeks. Or the time I thought the birds despised us, when they nibbled our bread and left stones in our footprints, then nightfall and no creek to follow. Remember how we used to find any old reason just to call someone we were crushing on? Like we would just pawn off our sense of embarrassment, buy a chunk of courage that would last just long enough to have us asking them about math and stuff. How stuff was just stuff. Like I heard you were getting braces. Braces somehow were, and still are, kinda hot. Remember how we forgot? Remember how our parents told us never look directly into the sun, how we were their sons. So we never looked directly into the mirror, fear that we would go blind. All stars extinguished in 2 tall branches and whispers of stalking owls, stumbling while the bats fluttered sideways, round our ears till we saw the flicker from our half-opaque window. Remember how we all caught mono and our parents would go, oh, the kissing disease. And our first steps into gangsterhood had us saying, mother, please. Even though we never really kissed anyone, even though we never did half the things we'd said we'd done. We just spun yarn like Rumpelstiltskin spun gold. We told ghost stories, never realizing we would one day ourselves become ghosts, haunting the hallways of schools, poltergeists breaking the rules of silence in the library. But we had no chains to rattle, no voice to babble the fact that we had no vocal cords. We only had fingernails on chalkboards. We just scream, shout, and yell, trying to tell ourselves what experience can teach is what no teacher taught. Remember how we forgot? Do you recall feasting off our flower pots of chocolate with freshly baked pretzel stems, falling asleep in the spell of rice pudding? What I remember is waking to a sweat and liquor scent. Of course I knew we'd die. Remember when we wanted to be firemen, a time we now called back then? When little boys wanted to be astronauts or superheroes, a time when little girls wanted to be prime ministers or princesses. We all wished recess would last another couple years or so. We could go all day. All we wanted to do was play, laugh, and run. We were young. The twisted hair, brunette, and tattered socks soiled beneath my head were just reminders of what would come. Our dreams hung like apples, waiting to be picked and peeled and hope for something that needed to be reeled in so we could fill the always empty fish bin with the one that got away and proudly say that this time, possible is not an option. Because success is so akin to effort and opportunity that it could be related. So we took chances. We figure skated on thin ice, believed that each slice of life was served with something sweet on the side, and failure was never nearly as important as the fact that we tried. When I ask you to remember, it's because the future isn't what it used to be. So remember now. Pay tribute to every sacrifice laid upon the altar of somehow. For all the times, somehow we overcame. Somehow we pushed on. Somehow we've gone the distance. And in going there, we possess the freedom to map uncharted lands of any and everywhere. We are unbound, 6 feet above the underground where we'll all one day rest. So until then, test the limits. Test the boundaries and the borders of the belief that hope belongs to us all. Be the pledge we take to make the unachievable as inconceivable as the false fact that we were never here. We were here. As she struck the match, I asked that she not kill me or you. And in her eyes, I saw this unforgiving ghost. Children like us, playing freeze tag in darkness, charred and vanished. And our memories are as dear treated us as every slow motion movement or held breath. So remember every instance before death. Every first kiss, first dance, near miss, last chance, yes, no, maybe so. Let us go the distance once more, live and remember, because this world doesn't give a shit if we end in a train wreck or a car crash. If our story ends with a dot or a dash, if we are dust or ash, because all we are is all we'll be, and all we were is the in-between of so far so good. So forget every would, could, or should not. Forget remembering how we forgot, because we burn bright. Our light leaves scars on the sun. From her final breath, I heard those muffled screams as a sudden gust-like tug, parentless and bewildered. Their pitch deafened by the kiln's hot hand. Let no one say will be undone by time's passing, that self-knowledge can be found on bookshelves. So who we are has no bearing on how we appear. Look directly into every mirror. Realize our reflection is the first sentence to a story, and our story starts. We were here.